Hello, welcome. I'm Shanti. And this evening we have a real treat. We have two that are joining us in dialogue. And the idea is to explore the dynamics of healthy relationships, but specifically looking with a spiritual perspective. So in a minute, I'll introduce our speakers, but I just wanted to mention maybe a few things. It's a nice opportunity to meet up, even if it's online. So if you feel comfortable doing so, then please do open your cameras. We will be taking any questions, or if you have any comments, you can put them in the chat message. And then we'll ask our speakers whatever questions you have. Also, feel free to say where you're from and how you heard about us. That would be nice to know. And maybe also just to mention that this talk is being translated to Spanish. So if that's easier for you, you can click on the translation and get that. But also a note to the speakers, maybe to speak slowly so that the translation can take place more easily. So the two speakers we do have today, we have Esperanza Santos, who has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation with Brahma Kumaris for about 30 years. And has always, even from a very young age, has had spiritual inclinations. She studied English, philosophy, and for many years she has worked as a teacher and translator. Nowadays, she coordinates the Brahma Kumaris in Andalucia in the south of Spain and is part of the national coordinating team of this organization. The other speaker, she comes from London, and she's been studying Raj Yoga meditation with Brahma Kumaris for 25 years, which has supported...
It's actually 30. I mean, the last 5 years have been pretty important. So,
so there we go. I guess we're only 5 years out of date, no problem. But she's found this to support change in all areas of her life. She has particular interest in how transformative thinking and personal practice work together to make spirituality practical in everyday living. She has a degree in adult education and training and works as a personal development trainer. So welcome, Esperanza and Margaret. And I thought maybe we'll ask, each will speak for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll have some dialogue. Maybe Esperanza would like to speak first.
Thank you for your introduction. And no matter how much you study a language, at the time of reality, the speaking is another thing. So it happens with everything in life. You can read and study, but then daily test, daily dealing is what counts. So today we are in the beautiful subject or theme regarding the secret of healthy relationships. Also, this needs experience. We all are very experienced people who I'm sure, deal for many years with different experiences, knowing that relationships are a source of greatest happiness, but also a source of greatest sorrow. And human beings are meant to relate, to come into interaction, but especially there are two values that are very important in these interactions, love and happiness, because both of them, I'm not saying that peace is not important, but it has to do more with your own self, but especially love and happiness are the highest experiences and expressions of human life. If there was not love, it is like there is no life. This is the experience. Love is the caring and the expression of the purest feelings for others. And happiness is an expression of a very positive feeling of being alive and sharing that life with others. And happiness can come either through other people, or it can come looking, I don't know, at the beauty of nature, or through a genuine achievement. But the thing of happiness is only possible when it is shared. And deeper is your happiness when you do something for others. Do you like cakes? I'm sure you like. Once in a while, if you cook a cake or a special meal, you can cook for yourself and be very happy, but if you share with others, you will be happier. And also with the thought of doing it for others, to make them happy, you will take a longer time and more caring. So yes, if we don't have happiness and love in our life, then it starts to be a kind of a psychological breakdown. And that is happening a lot this time, the sense of alienation, of not belonging, the sense of loneliness. I like in English language, solitude is different of loneliness. Solitude is a virtue, but loneliness, no way. Especially in cultures where the family tradition has been broken. And maybe this kind of individualism has been too much in the sense of I. So not develop tolerance or flexibility or patience because you are in your own world, too much egocentric maybe. And though they get what they want and do what they want, it's often that people can feel lonely and not belonging. So one secret is this happiness and love to be shared. And another one, I could think that the right relationship with others are based in the right relationship with my own self. And the emptier the person feels and is, the more demanding they are going to be. For example, if you get angry, in relationships, this happens. There is a lot of people, and the inspiration when there is the thought of the awareness of I expect someone to behave in a particular way. That is to give me something, to say this, to say that, but they don't behave as I would like. So the more content I am with myself, the more I am finding my own qualities and living from inside. So my relationships are going to be very peaceful, calm, fulfilling. But we know that a lot of relationships are very parasitical. We call it attachment, but tend to be disrespectful. It's like the word loyalty is not longer important in relationships. And when there is no loyalty, there is no maturity, there is a lot of selfishness when you use other people for any reason. And such person can be very arrogant, so centered, very dry, and the feeling of loneliness, as we said before. So they are very desperate to have love, but they feel they cannot get it. And sometimes they can reach to the point that they don't even deserve to have it. It's like they don't deserve to be happy because they always see the negative side of life. So it's loss of enthusiasm because they has love, faith in life, and no so much faith in others. No faith in themselves, so they can build up a self-mechanism system not to be hurt. I don't mind. So another secret is the basis of starting good and healthy relationship with others, and to remove any kind of imbalance we create among us is seen as a being, as a soul, beyond the body, beyond their image, the role, the character. They are also a soul. They are also unique. They are also actors in this drama in life. And they have a right to be here. As much as they have a right to really express themselves. They are my brothers and sisters' souls, and I will not relate to them to a level even of a gender, name, even past, because sometimes we keep the past stories of someone, or even their relationship with me. For example, if you don't have a good relationship with your mother or your husband or whatever, the way to help fix that is get the balance. Get this balance, seeing them as souls with their being. It's not that they are extensions of me. There is always the problem in relationships when, I don't know, my wife, my children, my employees are extensions of me. This can create a lot of conflict. But no, I am a soul, you are a soul, they are a soul, and they are children of the Supreme. They are also loved, appreciated, and they have a speciality. Have I recognized this? Or I am too busy with their defects? So here we will talk about another secret to see the specialities of others. Go deep first into the self and open the heart. Be very still and watch. As I start to see others as souls, I start to be released from a lot of unnecessary burden. And also I start to be lighter. So the secret is to renew my vision of others and of myself daily. Unable to renew my vision of others daily according to how I also bring my vision of myself. And the happier I am in myself, the more positive, forgiving and accepting I am for others. The less happy I am with myself, we know the answer. I don't have this good or positive energy or the courage to see others also really as souls. This is a point of experience, not just something intellectual. Oh, you are a soul, you are a being of, it's not something here, brain. No, really with as something that I'm seeing. They may not suit me, but they still exist. If I have this attitude, it's much easier. So I need heartfelt respect and disarm the way I see people and life. See them with respect. I think these are few secrets that I'm sure there are more, right, Margaret? But some few. Thank you.
That's really nice. Just to recap, and I hope I've got this right, to first have a right relationship with the self. And so that's really important. And number two, see ourselves as a soul, but to also see the other as soul, and to know that they have a right to be here. And then the third one, renew my vision of others and myself daily. So these are beautiful secrets and explained so beautifully. Thank you. I'd like to give Margaret time now to share for 10 to 15 minutes.
Thank you, Shanti. I think that was quite comprehensive sharing, covered a lot. Maybe I'll come from a little different angle. So just from the current experience, that I would say the seed of healthy relationships, it's maybe the secret, but the seed of it is your own self-talk. So, you know, in our self-talk, we talk about there's something we're saying to ourselves about ourselves. There's something we're saying to ourselves about others. There's something we're saying to ourselves about situations. And often the situations include others as well, may not, but, and so in a way, if I want the external to be healthy, as in terms of relationships, then the first step is to have a healthy self-talk. So, and that's where it probably begins, and that's where it ends. And this is something that all of us can pay more attention to. So to check in with the self, and maybe, sorry, I just lost my, to, you know, maybe have points during the day. Some of us are lucky to be in situations where on the hour music comes on, or we can have check-in points, maybe as when we first wake up. What kind of thoughts what do I tell myself about myself? And is it healthy and wholesome? You know, the last thing is to we want is when you wake up to the first thing to be a downer, maybe about work or something. So the first thought in the morning is so precious. In fact, they say the first 10 minutes is your prime time, and that is time for yourself. And it's like your prime. So to nourish yourself with a very healthy self-talk about yourself, empower yourself, say really empowering, inspiring things. Dare you say the highest, wildest, thoughts about yourself. And this kind of sets the tone for the day. Also, at the end of the day, the time we spend before we go to sleep is also important, because it's about clearing the day of anything that wasn't healthy or wasn't wholesome. It's clearing it out. And of course, what we take into sleep is also going to be what we wake up with. So these two parts of our days are so highly important if we want to first foster a good, healthy relationship with ourselves. And that has to be the most important relationship in our life. We are with ourselves 24/7. You wake up in the night, you're with yourself. When you first wake up, when you go, no matter what else is happening in life, no matter whoever you come into contact with, ultimately you are with yourself. And so what comes out towards another, you're the first recipient of it. And therefore, when we understand this, that whatever thoughts, feelings, attitudes, perceptions that I tell myself, I'm going to be the first one, even if I'm in my mind thinking about another, which I would say is self-talk to yourself about another. So even if I'm talking to myself about someone else, be it great things or not so great things, it first resonates in my own mind. So often we think that we see a good quality in someone, hopefully, we see good qualities in others, but it's because I've tapped into the qualities in myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't see it. What's the phrase? Something like, if you see it, you've got it, or something. Spot it, you've got it, that's it. And this works either way with the goodness, but also the not, so whatever we link into in the external, I mean outside of my own self-talk, and we tell ourselves that, we are going to either empower ourselves or completely disempower ourselves. And that is the seed, really, and the secret of healthy relationships outside. So as Shanti was saying, to actually give myself time is probably the greatest investment. And of course, here we're on the spiritual path, so we give ourselves time through a meditation practice, but even more than that, during the day, to keep checking in. What am I thinking? What am I feeling about myself? Because that is going to mirror out into the relationships outside of ourselves. And, I think we've all had that feeling where you wake up and you're full of enthusiasm and you feel like you're in the flow. You feel really connected to yourself. You feel connected to the divine, and every interaction that you come into contact is like a joy, and I guess that is what living really is. that you're connected with yourself, you're connected to something higher, and then the vibration that goes out is brings out the best in others. I think we've also had the other, where we feel like we got outside of the wrong side of bed somehow, and we're kind of misaligned with ourselves. We sort of bumping into ourselves, we're not having sort of positive thoughts about ourselves, and then we sort of, that cascades into the attitude we bring out. We might even start to avoid people because we know we're not in a good state, and that has its own repercussions as well. So it's such an amazing investment to put myself right first. And that's been remembered in scriptures, and Bible, it says take the plank out of your own eye, something like that, before you see anything in others. And what Shanti has shared about our attitudes to others is really key, but it really begins with my attitude to myself. So probably my few secrets would be something like, don't have expectations of others. Very hard one, right? Because sometimes someone's behavior doesn't kind of match where you're at, but probably that's the most generous thing in relationships, is to accept others as they are. Shanti mentioned this, to really accept them however they show up. Because I think on the return of that is that we want others to accept us how we show up, and we hope that we show up good and in a wholesome way, but not always. So this acceptance is a real secret, and that means if I'm working towards 100% acceptance of others, that means there can't be any expectations of them. That means that whatever they say or do, there's an acceptance. And I think in order to allow this to happen, we have to kind of change our perspective. And Shanti very lovely said that in a way we are all beings who inhabit this planet, and I think there seems like we've forgotten that sometimes, and we're pushing our way through, and the world seems like it's pushing its way through for the individual, but actually we're like a collective family. And if I see everyone as a member of my family, really deeply as a member of my family, then my response to them will be quite different. If I see myself as an individual and there is an individual and there's no connection, then there won't be such a feeling of respect for them. But if I can see that we're all part of one family, you can say the human family, but even behind the human family, we are these, in the practice here, we say beings of light that inhabit bodies and play parts, and we're all in this together. We're not against anyone, we're for everyone. We want everyone to progress, we want everyone to reach their potential. So yes, so acceptance is a really big secret, and it's a journey. It's a journey. I might be at 2% acceptance of others, I might be at 10%. There may be some that I can really accept wholeheartedly, and there may be others that at the current time I'm in resistance to in some way. But all the time we're moving to more and more higher level of acceptance, that this is a member of my family, let me accept them as they are. The other secret is, it begins with A as well, and that is appreciation. So I remember once someone sharing with me quite a few years ago that all anyone wants is to be accepted and valued. They don't want our corrections. They don't want our advice. They don't want us to be critical of them. They just want our good wishes, basically. And so if we want to foster good wishes for others, then ultimately we have to appreciate them, appreciate their qualities, appreciate their specialities, their skills, their talents, and, you know, really enjoy the variety in life. There's something that seems to go on in human beings, that we want others to be like us. Maybe because we feel our life would be easier or something like that. But ultimately, it's a variety play with variety characters. And the more that we accept that there is going to be, you know, everyone on the planet is unique, they're special, the way they do things, the way they think, it's all going to be different. It's not going to be like what's going on in my head. And the way they do things, in a way we could say there's maybe 8 billion ways of doing something. So how can I say my way is the right way? So these two acceptance, so no expectations, and appreciation, really deeply appreciating someone for their good qualities. And there's some that you look at and you can just see, you know, their eyes are full of kindness. Some people are really patient, some people are humorous, some people are you know, they're good they really come through with resilience in a crisis. And, you know, so each one has their good qualities and their specialities. And the more that we tap into that, we're the first one that benefits. We're the first recipient of seeing someone else's good qualities, because it starts here. The energy of seeing it starts here. And the same if I see a negative about someone, I'm the first recipient. And when we really understand and realize this, we won't want to see anything but goodness in others, to see the truth in others. You know, and the suffering in relationships is really because we stop seeing the good. And they might have one habit or something like that, and that we allow that habit to irritate us. And then from that moment of allowing that habit to irritate us, then we're already rejecting them. And that starts to build a kind of conflict. It's the start of a conflict, because we're now misaligned with ourselves. We're certainly not connected with the divine, and we're not seeing the goodness. So I would go for these two biggies: acceptance and appreciation.
Yeah, really nice. Thank you, Margaret. And you basically summarized it, but maybe just to point out a few of the things you said, the importance of healthy self-talk. And it was interesting to hear how that really connects with how our relationships are. So how we are with ourselves determines how our relationships will be. And I also like this idea that how we perceive others, whether negatively or positively, we are the recipient of that. Like we're receiving the positive or the negative of that, depending what our vision is. And as you were talking, I'm like picturing different situations in my own personal life, my own personal relationships, and I could really see how that directly relates. And how, the truth in that. So very much appreciating. This is a time when we come to sort of having a dialogue. And also I wanted to invite others, if they have any questions, feel free to put questions or comments in the chat. We can read those out. But maybe I'll just highlight one of the things Esperanza said, talking about other people. They are not extensions of me. They are not extensions of ourselves. And this is something that I think we really need to explore this a little bit more, maybe, because if you think of, like if I speak about my husband, my spouse, my partner, I might say something like, he completes me, or he's my better half, or, something like that. Children we see as like an extension of us. And there was something that you were saying about that sort of indicated that that's not a healthy way or a helpful way of seeing relationships. So maybe Esperanza can expand on that, and Margaret might have something to chime in.
Our vision and attitude is very important regarding that. If I see you as my whatever, then it happens. It happens that you will always have them in your mind, and they will be master of your mind. So it's like you will count on them before seeing your own perceptions. So it's like each and everyone has their own place, space, giving their space, and also their position allow us to be more free. And I'm not talking about individualism, but freedom and being responsible. Otherwise, we are very good in being responsible of others, in the sense of being sometimes the ones who decide for them. It depends on the kind of relationship, but it's not our part. Responsible, free to be responsible, and then to take any decision according to that freedom and responsibility that make us be more aware that, respect each and everyone and their part in life. I don't know how Margaret will take this.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a current, maybe I can share with an example that my birth mother is 93 and in hospital, and some days she has good days and some days not so good days, so you don't really know what the next few weeks will hold, or even the next day, and this one's been pondering on, that when the baby is born, they cut what they call the umbilical cord, the physical umbilical cord, but maybe all our life, very subtly, there's this subtle umbilical cord, and and maybe that's the same with a parent to children. That one I haven't experienced, but so much. But this one of mother to child, we've all experienced that one, and it's been a kind of interesting journey, and I feel very fortunate to have had a chance to work that through, because I remember when I came to this university 30 years ago, I remember saying to God, I think when my mother passes on, that's going to be probably the most difficult. And possibly because there was unresolved things at that time. But the fortune of having 30 years to work through and to actually change that relationship. So the relationship is no longer in the same context. It's more that we've become friends, friends. And so, and also resolved. I think we both have a chance to resolve what maybe our own input in the relationship was that maybe wasn't quite right. So, and I think that's a very practical, because who knows tomorrow, who knows next week? Don't really know. You don't really know. But it feels healthy. And there's a feeling that in my mind, I'm saying to the other, which we would say the other being, when you have to go, you just go. There's not a feeling of, oh, I want to hang on, whatever. When it's your time, you just go. And I think that's because the knowledge base of what Shanti is talking about is that we're individual beings playing our parts and respecting that that each one has their part. And although we play different roles, ultimately we are all independent of each other, yet closely linked. So it feels healthy. And not saying that at the time there may be tears, but the foundation feels healthy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's really nice. The example you gave with you and your mother, this one also had something like that, where the relationship didn't feel quite right. This one was feeling a little guilty for taking advantage of the mother, because she was still wanting to do, this one was already married with children, and the mother's still wanting to treat me like a child, and I was allowing it because that meant she was doing everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this isn't really fair on her. It's not really healthy. We should maybe think about a better way to have this relationship. And that's when we kind of transformed into a friendship. And yeah, this one feels that's a lot healthier than taking advantage.
Sure.
She was willing, but but for how long, I don't know.
And also I think there's a kind of cycle that has to be played out, a healthy cycle, isn't it? That your parents look after the being when it's in a little body and it's vulnerable, and it's healthy to, when they're in a vulnerable position, that you support. But it sort of completes something, and I think maybe that's what's happened there. There's a kind of cycle that feels like it's completing, and that's what makes it healthy. And you see, the thing is, in any relationship, if there's a kind of disturbance, that we're holding a grudge or we're jealous, it makes it not complete. And yet when we can move, even if a relationship was like that in the past, if we can move to where we, you know, we've opened up to more generosity of spirit, and we've healed it, and we've forgiven, and we've let go, it feels so, you feel so light. And I think the happiness comes from that, when you feel really light and you've seen a transformation in yourself and in others. You just, you know, embrace it really with happiness.
We have a couple questions which be nice to get your thoughts on this. From Sarah: how can we find a balance between accepting others or accepting our partner and not accepting abuse or maltreatment? So I don't know who wants to tackle this first.
I can just give thoughts and then you can add,
Yes.
Shanti. Personally, to stay in a relationship where there's some kind of abuse going on is never going to be a healthy relationship. If you know, I think at that point it's to get professional help and find a way of, you might have to remove yourself from the situation, because I think what happens in these abusive relationships is that, you know, they swing when it's fine and it's all okay, and then it can swing the other way again, and you know, and then, you know, all falls apart, and then they try and make up. It's like a pattern. So and that will never be a kind of healthy relationship. It needs, you know, it takes, I would say, a lot of courage to come out of a situation of abuse. It's not an easy thing, especially if children are involved and other things, but you owe it to yourself to do it, because otherwise your life, it won't get better. We think it will get better, but often it never gets better. And yet if can come out of it and get professional help, then you know, things may change. You can hope for change. But yeah, I would never encourage someone to stay in a situation that's where they're, you know, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, that they're being continually put down or abused. It crushes the spirit, and the spirit wants to fly. Over to you.
I really agree with you. At the external level, it has to be a practical resolution, and sometimes we need to put limits, and those limits is something cannot be waited for. It has to be done as soon as possible. So I wouldn't even speak about balance in that case. But now, taking the spiritual resolution, if I don't, for example, forgive, once the external thing is solved, if I not forgive, that will be inside myself for a long time. So first of all, put the limits and full stop. This needs to be solved in a better way, but then understand that someone who suffers inside will give sorrow. And this is a secret, not of healthy relationships, but of relationships.
Yes.
But we need to understand not to take sorrow from other ones, because we know what they are passing through. When we are passing through a moment of pain, we don't want to behave in a nasty way, but we do it. Why? Because the pain is so awful that the reaction is automatic. So that understanding make us able to forgive. This is what I feel, because I remember someone who was really no physical maltreatment, but psychological or emotional. And really it affects even my health. So till I really stopped taking the sorrow from that person, like those words, that attack, just to the point that hurts me, I was not taking it anymore. That was a firm determination. It was a conscious decision. And then forgiveness. First, not to take the sorrow inside, because that being, that person, was in pain himself. And then forgive. And then you are free. Otherwise, you can be separated but not free.
Also, you know, when someone, you know, it's totally right, you know, only hurt people, that's the phrase, isn't it? But also only often when there's not the inner control of the self, there's no sense of mastery internally, then often that projects out as controlling others or power games. But, you know, someone who's working on bringing that peace and love and joy into their life and mastering that, they're not going to be interested in power games. But when there isn't, if there isn't an attempt for that even, then the lack of inner control, and that might show up as like an addiction or something. It might, you know, the lack of control may show up as addiction, and that then might start to control others as a way of feeling in control. Really, everyone wants to feel in control. Everyone wants to be able to think beautiful thoughts, feel beautiful feelings, enjoy life. Ultimately, that's what everyone would like. But if there isn't, if the being hasn't found a way to do that, then often the out of control inside becomes external control.
Yeah, this all makes sense. And I really like this, you know, just because we're having maybe this attitude of acceptance and appreciation. If there's abuse, it doesn't stop us from doing what is necessary for safety and care for both parties, really. And so we take care of the physical element of it, but also that necessity to address the spiritual vision at the same time, so that that forgiveness can happen. And yeah, that gives the complete picture, really.
And ultimately the compassion, you know, as Shanti said, you know, if it becomes from hurt, so the understanding that only a hurt person will do something like that, then it opens up compassion. And yes, so, you know, first you have to remove yourself from being hurt, but then ultimately the compassion and the good wishes that they do heal themselves, or they find a way. You know, you don't, even if you can't be around them physically, with your own good feelings, you can send those good wishes, and that they really help, you know. And yeah.
Another question that came up, we can all benefit from having good relationships. is it a good idea to seek out relationships, friendships, or to let those souls find you? Is the question clear?
It is. I have to say, I've never gone after it looking. They've shown up. I think it depends. You know, if you move to a new area and you, for whatever, because of your job or, you know, even in the life that we live, maybe for a service, you end up in an area where you don't know anyone, then you may make a conscious effort to, you know, join things so that you do meet people, you know. But I think if it's going to become friendships, that will happen of its own accord, you know. But I think generally in life, they just happen. I don't think we go out. The real good friendships, they just kind of merge in a way. And they take investment and time as well. And, you know, because any relationship, and it's, you know, the same with the healthy and the unhealthy, you know, it's not how much we meet someone, it's about what are our thoughts in between meeting them. That's what really counts. So if you're with someone and your thoughts afterwards was, it was so enjoyable being with them, you know, really it was I felt it was, we had really solid, good conversations. It felt inspiring and I felt empowered. You're going to want to see them again. But if you're in a situation where someone was putting you down, then, you know, afterwards you're going to feel, oh, that was really uncomfortable for me. I'm not going to, you're not going to want to do it again. So I think it's what the self-talk that we have of how we felt with those people really will determine the friendship. So it's not just the time with them, it's the time when you're not with them.
Totally agree. Also, I have a little method. When there is a pure wish, I will put in front of the divine, and you know, it's like it would be good for me to have to meet other people, because sometimes you are always in the same environment. And you know, it happens because it's a pure wish. And then there is a retreat, we share in groups, and you are not seeking, but it happens that when there is a good, I don't know how to say in English, but you are prepared already, no, to learn more. It will come the right people to learn, to share, to make bridges. And this pandemic, for example, has been for me a gift in that sense, to meet many more people from all over the world that I wouldn't meet personally. So I was not seeking for it, but pure wish was there that I want to meet big family. And it happened. So
Lovely. I think we've come to the end of our hour, but it'd be nice to maybe have some close with some guided meditation. Could I ask Esperanza to give a short meditation?
in this environment, in the silence, we feel the fragrance of the gathering. Everyone with the same thought, united. How to be healthier in my interactions. How to see each other. As a being of existence. I see your light, your love, your authenticity, beyond your image, even beyond your behavior. I see the light you are. And that makes each one unique. Worthy to be seen as human beings. First of all, and worthy to be seen as beings of light. And then I will be able to forgive, to have good wishes, to forget whatever happened in the past. I will be able to allow them to have their own space, to live their own lives as I am living my own. And all together, we can see walking in the same direction. Freedom, respect, harmony. Freedom, respect, harmony. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Esperanza and Margaret. And we'll conclude here, but I'll just post what's happening next at Inner Space. And maybe I will also put in chat some things that you may be interested in. If you're interested in a recording, for example. Yes. So let's talk, and I'll add to the chat and leave that up for a few minutes so you can take a picture of this, maybe cut and paste or take a picture of the chat, whatever works for you. And we hope to see you again. Thank you for coming tonight. Om Shanti.